Hey, I'm Andrea Dudick, realtor and associate broker here in the Central Texas area. I've helped dozens of families relocate to the Temple Belton area. And a question I frequently get asked is Belton, Texas really a great place to live? Well, today we'll be going over the pros, cons, and everything in between so you can really make that decision for yourself. Hey, and welcome back to Living in Central Texas. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell notification so that you can stay up to date on all things real estate here in Central Texas. This video is going to be a very comprehensive and I think just very straightforward example of all of the great reasons to live here and maybe some things you should really consider. As you may or may not know, I'm not from this area. I relocated here about 10 years ago myself from Las Vegas, Nevada. It was hands down one of the best decisions I could have ever made. And so you'll be really getting that feedback from someone that's not here originally. So one of the best pros is affordability and cost of living. The cost of living here is about 7% below the national average, and the housing is about 23% below the national average. Our average home price here in the Belton, Texas area is somewhere between $275 and $280. That's actually according to the Temple Belton Board of Realtors' most recent June 2025 statistics. If you want more information on the Temple Belton or Central Texas statistics, you can head on over to mytbor, that's mytbbor.com, if you'd like to do some of that research yourself. But in general, the cost of living and affordability here is really great, especially when you compare it to places like Austin and Waco, just north and south of us. So the number 2 pro, which is one of my favorites, is outdoor parks and recreation. We have a ton of parks and things to do outside. As you can see, we are at a beautiful park. This is Temple Lake Park, right on Belton Lake. You can see behind me there are people just swimming in the water, barbecuing, hanging out. It's just shy of 100 degrees today. Perfect weather to be in the lake, light breeze, really awesome and low expense thing to do. $5 entry at the gate. But we have a ton of other parks here too. You have Chalk Ridge Falls, you have Miller Springs, you have Nolan Creek if you want to go hang out at Nolan Creek in downtown Belton, but a ton of options there if you're looking for things to do outdoors. And then of course here we are at Belton Lake. There's going to be Belton Lake and Stillhouse Lake. Both Stillhouse is going to be off of I-14-ish. You're going to be closer to the Killeen, Harker Heights, West Belton area. Here and at Lake Belton, you're going to be closer to Temple, Belton, and Morgan's Point. Pro number 3, as I mentioned earlier, maybe this is or isn't a pro for you. If you're looking for that wild nightlife, Belton is probably not it. While we do have a lot of things to do here, Belton is really putting a lot into its infrastructure. Downtown Belton is really growing, expanding. They are remodeling a lot. You have a ton of really great restaurants in the area. And downtown Belton, we have Miller's Barbecue. You have Narunia's Thai food, that's my favorite. You have Water Street Waffle Company. I felt like the area was really needing an awesome breakfast spot here, and that one is fantastic. But if you actually want more details in downtown Belton and what that life looks like, I recently did a video on downtown Belton. You should head on over and take a look at that. But things close at a relatively decent time, but there's still plenty to do in terms of dining, shopping, and of course you're only an hour north of Austin and 30 minutes south of Waco. You also have Killeen Mall and shopping over in Killeen. Downtown Belton also has some really awesome boutiques, shopping, Cochran, Blair, and Potts. We also have festivals, farmers markets, just a lot of really sweet small town charm feel activities. Another pro is our school district. Belton ISD is highly rated. Of you head on over to niche.com, niche.com, Belton, Texas has an A- rating, which is really great for this area. Your student to teacher ratio is great, and there's just over 13,000 students, kindergarten pre-K up to high school. And of course, we're really known for our higher education of Mary Hardin Baylor. And surprisingly, Temple Belton is a major medical teaching facility. And so there is that education as well, if you want to consider that. We're the largest teaching facility from Austin all the way to Dallas. Our last pro to highlight is actually going to be location. You are amazingly and centrally located. Like I said, about an hour north of Austin and 30 minutes south of Waco. But what that really does for you is give you access to some really popular spots. And if you want to head down to those places and have fun, you have the great access and ability to do that. But your cost of living is going to be better here. You're going to get more bang for your buck. You're going to get more, you're going to get that lower price per square foot as you move kind of away from Austin. And so if you're looking for more space, room to breathe, you'd like a little more privacy, this is gonna be a benefit to you. You're about 20 minutes east of Fort Hood, which is one of the largest military installations in the nation. And just really great opportunity, especially with its expansion and development. We're seeing a lot of growth here very quickly, a lot of new construction. And we're right up that I-35 corridor. And I think this is just a really great place to invest as well if that's something that you're interested in. Belton, Texas is part of Bell County, which is actually part of the Killeen-Temple metro area. Great access to rivers, lakes, recreational activities, and overall lower cost of living just really makes this place a wonderful place to be, especially if you are looking for something a little quieter and a little more peaceful than that big city living. So this may be considered a pro or a con. Sites like Reddit are noting that because of the area's large military presence and medical growth, that might actually be limiting to some looking to move here for work. I actually don't think that's the case. I actually feel that to me, that's probably more of a pro, just because there's so much opportunity here. But that may be something, I guess, just depending on what your job field is. This was a huge consideration for me, were the weather and bugs. So I came from Las Vegas, where it was more of a dry climate. Here is much more humid, more muggy. So we have very high, hot summers, but relatively mild winters. Snow's not super common. We did have a snow apocalypse of 2021, very rare, but overall, it's pretty hot here. You do get the benefits of using these recreational activities to enjoy the cool lake, and of course, the springs Walsh Shore are really awesome. We do have a lot of bugs in the area. We have wasps, spiders, big old tarantulas, which I actually think are pretty cool. Mosquitoes. I'm very sensitive to mosquitoes. That one's a tough one for me, but I make it through. Scorpions and rodents. There are quite a bit of rodents as well as snakes, but I think it's worth the trade-off. You'll have to decide that for yourself. I think one of the biggest cons to our area is actually our property taxes, which is probably going to apply to all of Texas, but particularly here, your tax rate is going to be somewhere between 1.6 to 2.7%, just really depending on if you're inside or outside of city limits and in what area. That's really going to affect your overall monthly payment. And so while our homes are more affordable than a lot of other places, that's definitely something to consider if you are moving here. There are things like exemptions that you can file to reduce your taxable amount. Those are going to be your homestead exemption, your over 65 exemption, and even exemptions for disabled veterans. And then the last con might be the small town charm if you're actually looking for big city living. We don't have the same amenities that Austin, Texas does if you're looking for that nightlife, but you're not far from it. Belton, Texas thrives on small town warmth, affordability, and access to nature, although it's not perfect. If you value schools, community, and an overall slower pace, it may just be the perfect fit for you. If you have any questions about relocating to Temple, Belton, or any of the surrounding areas, you can find all my contact information below. I'd love to hear what you thought about this video. Till next time, I'm Andrea Dudek, Realtor and Associate Broker.